Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20, and welcome to episode 23 of Direwolf20's Space Engineer series. Dun 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 dun. It's time to build a new ship. And I want to show you some of the advanced features of building in creative mode. So you can see I'm in my creative world right now. This is a world that I've got some testing stuff going on, and I obviously occasionally will copy my survival world, paste it, as a new world and set it up in a creative world. So that's what I've done. You can see this world's pretty similar to my survival world at the moment, but rest assured it's a different save game where I do some testing. You can tell mostly because, hey, there's no giant welding area over here. I built that last episode and I've not since updated my world. So not that I need it for what I'm going to work on today. So today I'd like to build a large welding ship. I want to really ramp up my ability to build things on the go. So the welding area that we made last episode in the survival world is going to be great for building ships that I want to go out and do stuff with, right? But I'd really like it if I could, potentially, possibly, perhaps consider the possibility that I might want to fly around and build stations and stuff. And that's not going to work for this giant stationary thing. So I'd like to build a large ship. My small welding drone is great. There's one little tiny minor small problem. His cargo bay isn't great. He does a good job, but not a great job at having cargo hold storage. And if I want to build like large base structures, like, for example, if I want to build more of the advanced refineries, right? If I want to really ramp up my advanced refinery building, like it takes about 3 or 4 trips back and forth with the welders, and it's starting to become a nuisance. So I'd like to have a really large amount of storage for components that I can keep on hand at all times. And I might even ramp up my production of components at some point, so we might need to build more stuff, and that means more welding. So time for a large welder. And I thought, what better chance to show you guys how you can build things in a little bit of a cooler fashion. So let's take a look at some of the advanced features of building in Space Engineers. So let's talk about symmetry mode. Symmetry mode is a very cool and powerful way to build in Space Engineers. It's really easy to use, but it's really confusing to look at the first time you do it. So if you don't know how it works, you might be like, hey, that sounds cool, Direwolf, but I don't understand, I don't get it, it's tricky. Don't worry, I'm here to show you, all right? So first off, to enter symmetry mode, you want to hit M on your keyboard, but you need to have a block in your hand first. So hit M on your keyboard and you'll see that it'll add a plane to the block that you're looking at. Now if you press M again, it'll switch into a different type of symmetry mode, which we'll talk about in a moment. All right, if you press it again, it goes into a different plane. Okay, again, a different version of that plane, and then a third time this way and this way. So basically there's 3 planes, right? Left and right, up and down, forward and backward. Okay, makes perfect sense. X, Y, Z axis, right? Now, if you want to enter symmetry mode and actually start using it, you want to hit M, find the plane that you want, and then left click. Okay, then press escape. Okay, that plane is going to stay there now. And notice that when I go to place a block on the left-hand side of this block, it'll automatically place a ghost image on the right as well. And when I place it, it gets placed. How cool is that? Okay, so I can keep expanding here, and we can go boom, 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 and all of a sudden, symmetry mode. Cool stuff, right? Now, if you want, you can go ahead and add symmetry. So if we want, we can do something like this. Okay, I'm going to click that in, and you'll notice that both symmetries are active now. How cool is that? So when we click here, for example, notice that both symmetries have been made, right? So the blue plane shows us that we're going left and right, and the red plane shows us that we're going what's left and right now, right? So X and Z, let's say, right? So both these planes are active. It makes for really easy builds, especially when you factor in stuff like the control click, boom, or the control shift click, boom. Ha! How cool is that? So very easily expanding out your stuff. Now, if you want to get rid of a symmetry plane, it's really easy. So first off, you can temporarily disable symmetry by hitting the N key on your keyboard. It'll temporarily disable your symmetry mode, and then when you hit N again, everything that was set is back to the way it was. So it's like a temporary turn off, right? Boom. How cool, right? So off and on, off and on. Very neat. Right? And it works for right click as well, by the way. So when you right click to remove, it's going to remove an asymmetry. Okay? So keep that in mind. Now, if you want to get rid of symmetry, okay, go ahead and hit M until you get to the point where you've got your symmetry plane again. If you want to simply move it so that the center plane is in a different place, left click, and it'll move the plane from one position to another. Hopefully that makes sense. If you want to get rid of it, simply right click and see now that it's gone. And I can hit escape, and you'll see that we're back to being able to place blocks, and that's all there. Neat, right? So if I want to get rid of this blue plane, I just right click, hit escape, done, no more symmetry mode, game over, we're done with symmetry. Haha, cool stuff, right? Now I did promise you something else. There's one more type of symmetry mode that we didn't talk about yet. So this one keeps it in the center of a block, and you'll notice that it's very obvious to see that it is in fact in the center of a block. However, some people like to build even-sized rooms instead of odd-sized rooms. If this symmetry is in place, this will always be an odd number of blocks, right? So you've got one in the center, and then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, what a coincidence! I accidentally made it 9 by 9. So, you know, we've got an odd number of blocks. If you want to go into an even symmetry mode, okay, I'm going to remove this line of symmetry, and I'm going to hit M again, and you'll notice that it goes over and it places the symmetry line on the outside border of the existing block. Okay, so now when I place this block, you'll notice that it has an even amount of symmetry. So this will create an even number of rooms, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So in total, 8 blocks across instead of 9. So that's what the two different types of symmetry mode are, and those obviously exist for both types. So there's the type that exists so that it's, you know, odd number of symmetry, which is this one, or even number of symmetry, which is this one. So you can have an even number of blocks or an odd number of blocks. Extremely powerful mechanic to play with. So if you really want to like build some cool stuff and make it symmetrical, which, you know, building cool ships and stuff, it's always a good idea to be a little bit symmetrical, probably. I try to be, and I usually fail miserably, but I'm like kind of good at it, right? 9 by 9, it's not 9 by 7. So that's symmetry mode. That's really all there is to it. Really simple to use, but once you get the hang of it, it's super powerful, right? So let's go ahead and build a cool ship here. So this is already, what? It is a 9 by 9, perfect. Cool. So let's build something, shall we? I'll start with a base 9 by 9, but we'll probably tweak this a little bit as we go through. So obviously we're going to want a cockpit at the front of this ship. That makes just the perfect amount of sense. And we're also probably going to want some cargo on here. I'm debating if I want one large cargo container or more than one. I'm thinking one should be all right. Now, there's a couple other things I'm probably going to want to play with a little bit, but we'll see what we can come up with. So if I had the large cargo container here, and this will be an episode of me just mostly building this cool ship, so hopefully you guys are down for something like that. Let's see. I would like to test if I have something like this coming out and something like this. And of course this will get uploaded at the end of this episode, so you guys can play with it. Twin welder. Let's put you here. And we're definitely going to want some kind of power source. So obviously this part of the build we're not going to need to be symmetrical on, right? So we'll probably have a conveyor here, and I'm thinking maybe 2 reactors. That sound like a good plan? I'm going with the azimuth ones again because they are just too cool. Nice. I'd like to see how these grinders do, or how these welders do. So we're going to call them welders. Save, toggle block on, and let's go into that debug view mode so we can see what kind of radius we've got here. Yeah, see, that's a pretty good size, and they do overlap with each other, don't they? That's pretty good. That's actually really nice. Look at the size of those welders, man. That's crazy. Way better than a small ship. And I do kind of like them overlapping. I'm debating. My question is, I want to try one thing, though. I want to have these bumped out one. So let's do this. It's the one trouble with building in creative. It's sometimes really easy to put blocks where you don't intend for them to be. I guess, here, perfect example of how to use symmetry mode, You ready? Let's make a symmetrical plane right there. And then we're going to do this, this, and this. Look at that. Cool, right? There you go. Perfect demonstration of symmetry mode. We'll get our welders here. I'll rename him 1 and 2. Did I turn them off by mistake? Yeah. Alright, so that has them just barely not overlapping. So, it's a pretty big radius. I'm thinking I'm going to leave them overlapping. So let's redo that. Cool. Look how easy it is to build in symmetry mode. I love it. Cool, right? Haha. And just for the effect again, I'm going to just, for now, turn these on. Nice, right? So yeah, that looks good. So the next thing I'm going to want to build is an antenna, but I don't need 2 of them, so I'm going to temporarily disable this thing. And oh yeah, I don't like how large this antenna is. So I'm going to get, this is again a modded item, the small antenna, which only fits on large ships. And yeah, you can just hang out right under here. That should be fine. Sweet. Now I'm curious. I'd like you to show me, you know what I want to do? I want to remove this from the station that it's on at the moment, but before I do that, I really should put thrusters on it. So I think what I'm going to do is just get the basic. This won't be the permanent one, but this is just to get so that I can remove it from the station. And obviously symmetry mode wouldn't help me too much here either. But now I can remove this from the station and at least fly it around. Cool. Good deal. Let's turn off debug draw. We don't need you anymore. And we can probably go into our welder's control panel and turn you off. Cool. So one of the things I wanted to look at was where the center of mass is. And I've got that enabled in my info tab here. A lot of people are telling me that if I make sure my remote control is on the center of mass, I won't have the autopilot issues I'm having. I've personally tested that and found that not to be the case, but I'm going to go ahead and try and put the remote control in the center of mass anyway. So that's why I have the cargo hold so far up front there. So that should be fine, right? That shouldn't be a problem. I'm just debating if I actually want to, you know what I might want to do? Let's turn this guy back on. Would that be a better plan? That probably would be, right? Yeah. You know what I should also do is get some gyroscopes on this guy. I'm gonna want 4 of them in total, so I might as well do it like that. I love symmetry mode, it's so cool. And I've only got 1 symmetry plane on. When you have like 2 or 3 on, it gets really crazy and awesome. All right, let's fly this guy out here-ish, so that we're a little bit further away from the base and it's less easy for us to do crazy stuff. Okay, so that looks cool. Yeah, I didn't want those to be too far out. We're gonna try and get them so that there's armor plates around them, but we'll manage that once we've actually got this ship built. All right, so that's the gist. We're gonna obviously want, so our remote control will probably wind up being here-ish. And I'm hoping that I can make that the center of mass. Remember, you want the front to kind of be facing there. So that tells me that I'm going to want my connector to be along the back. So let's go and place there. And yeah, symmetry mode's still active. It doesn't really matter. But this will come back out here to probably where the connector will be. And this is how we'll get stuff into the ship. Nice. So far, so good. All right, be right back. All right, so quick upgrade. Added a second set of reactors here, so 4 of them in total. Let's get actual thrusters set up on this thing. So what I'm thinking I'd probably want, let's get some armor slopes going here. That should probably be sufficient. So I'm gonna actually, let's get into symmetry mode again. Boom. Let's get rid of all these blocks. And what we'll probably want to do is probably get rid of these as well. And slope this upwards, right? Yeah, that should be cool looking. Then here, then here. And then we'll probably want to slope this up like this. And bring this to here. Look at that. How awesome. Oh yeah, that looks neat. So that maintains the interior of everything. Alright guys, making a quick change here, which is luckily quite easy to make. Haha. We'll get rid of this, and I'm going to put this here like that. And see if this looks cool. Yeah, I think that looks pretty neat, right? Definitely. I like that a little bit better. So let's try and do that down here as well. And then we'll be getting rid of these thrusters. So what do we got sitting here? Did I knock this off? Yeah, I probably did. I might have to replace these, but that's okay. Alright, so now let's talk about getting some thrusters on this thing, because I've just removed the old ones. I guess I'll go with tier 3s. And these guys will look pretty cool being recessed in here. Now that... I didn't have symmetry mode on, I don't think. So let's... Ah, there we go. Turn it back on. Nice. Oh yeah, that looks cool right there. And they should be replicated over here. Perfect. That's what I want to see. Now up here, these will probably... How are we going to want to do this? So we'll probably want to clear out... I'm thinking maybe like right here-ish. And we could go with, let's see, thrusters. What would look cool? A level 3 armor thruster? Yeah, that might be cool. Tier 3 armor thrustered slope or armor thruster. Let's try that out and see how that looks. Yeah, see, that can't go any higher because there's blocks there. So what we'll do is we'll just put the normal one. There we go. And because of symmetry mode, that one was already there, and that should be replicated up top. Perfect. Nice. All right. So now let's make sure that we've got enough here. So let's close up this wall. Cool. And we'll probably want to get rid of one of these symmetry planes. I'm thinking the green one. There we go. And we'll put thrusters here and here. And I'm going to put them on top of armor blocks in there. That looks good, right? So that should have plenty of thrust power for me. And if I ever needed to, I could add a few more. That should be fine. Okay. Now, here, I wouldn't mind having this guy, but this should actually be tier 3 as well. I'd like to have 4 of these. Just trying to figure out where I can squeeze them in. You know what I could do? Would that look cool? Can I do that? Is that legal? How's that look? Not bad. I'm just wondering if I can have my cockpit on there. The cockpit I could probably wind up... Let's put that symmetry plane back. Let's seal up the front here real quick. There we go. And the cockpit can go right here. Neat. So does this look like a pretty cool ship? I think it does. I might want there to be a connector here. I don't know why, I just feel like it would be like a conveyor and then the connector. Does that sound like a good idea to you guys? Curious how this thing flies. Let's get... I mean, it's not fancy in the front by any stretch of the imagination, right? Like, I get that, but I might add some stuff at some point to see about making it look cooler. I mean, it does look kind of cool as it is, right? Maybe I'll make the... Well, I don't know. Do I want the back to look like the front? I don't know. I kind of like it with those and like that, and... Yeah. I have no gyroscopes on this thing. Well, there's a derp for you. Knew I was forgetting something. Luckily, it's not terrible to get into. Where can I throw some gyroscopes? You know what? I'll throw them on the conveyors here. That'll look cool. And I've got the symmetry stuff disabled at the moment, but let's see. Now I can fly around, hopefully. Yes, cool. I've got up, down, forward, backward, left, right. Nice. So I am overloading my reactors if I try and go in, what, 1, 2, 3 directions at once, which I do sometimes do. So I might want a little bit more reactor power in this thing, but let's see. Do I feel like throwing more reactors in here? What do we got so far? You know what I could do? If I removed... this and put a conveyor block there, and then like that. That might be cool. Want to make sure, obviously, I can get like fuel into this thing, right? Okay, not terrible at all. Yeah, I like it. Decent amount of speed. Once this thing fills up with components, obviously, it's going to be another story, but for now, I like it. Alright, let me just see if there's any other, like, visual tweaks I want to make to this thing, because I want it to look a little nice, too. Alright, guys, I went ahead and did it off camera because I wasn't sure how it would look, and I like how it looks, so I'm sticking with it. I just did a couple things. One, I made these slopes here, and I did this in symmetry mode, so I only had to do it on this corner, and it replicated it to this corner, and this corner, and this corner, because symmetry mode is cool, and I'm geeking out over it. And then I put some glass windows on the front of the ship. How's that look? Not bad? Alright guys, I'm just playing around with this design a little bit. I'm not that good at this part of things, the design part obviously, so I've been doing a little bit of it off camera. But really, all I've been doing is replacing a couple armor blocks with some glass blocks. I thought it looked kind of cool, being able to see a little bit inside the ship. Obviously I've got it such that the, glass is facing the way that means like you can see inside easily, because we're not going to be inside the ship hardly ever. Large ships are designed to be walked around in, obviously, but this is going to be a smaller large ship, if that makes any sense. Also threw spotlights on there. Kind of liking it. They do kind of have like a glare effect on the sides, but I'm sure it'll help if I decide like I want to go weld something in a darkened area. So, like if we were to, whoa, the ship is fast. I am just not used to that, right? But if we were like, in here and we wanted to, maybe I should be a little bit more careful. I haven't bookmarked it, or I haven't copied this yet. Maybe I should. I think it's pretty much done though. I think it looks cool, obviously, right? I think it looks cool. I don't know. You guys can tell me if you think it looks cool. Yeah, look at that. Being able to shine a light on stuff and weld it. turn on and off the welders. I think it's good. So I'm gonna save it and publish it for you guys. Don't think there's anything else it needs, at least for now. Obviously, I can come back and tweak stuff later. And it doesn't look terrible. I mean, it's a little boxy, but not in a bad way. So let's copy it. I'm going to create from clipboard. This is this guy. So let's take a screenshot of this thing, shall we? I'm gonna turn the lights off for the screenshot. And he does have an antenna in there. At least he should. Is my antenna... Oh, it's because I don't own him. I'll leave it for now. Remember, when you play stuff in creative, you don't own it right away, so... Yeah. So we'll do... Take screenshot. Nice. And details, we'll rename this to large welder. Okay? There's a little bit more room inside, but really not much. So if we have to add stuff, we'll probably have to make the ship bigger. But I think it's pretty cool. I like it. I think it works. It's a functional ship. Let's publish it to the workshop for you guys. Cool. Done and done. Wow, I'm actually getting pretty low. Hey, I'm back in my survival world. Still have some words to process, but not much. Let's try out our new projector ship and let it project an image of our new welding ship. Ho, 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 I'm excited. So we'll just pop into here. And we'll go into our projector, toggle the block on, bring up Dire Large Welder. Cool. We're gonna fly this thing right into here. Hopefully such that it's nicely placed. Does that look pretty good? Yeah, it looks close enough. As long as it's mostly inside the area here, we should be fine. And yeah, that looks right about good. So should we kick this thing off and see how it does? I'm a little excited. I almost just want to like save my game in case something crazy happens. All right, here goes. Platform welders on. Those are the wrong welders. It should have been shipyard. Platform welders off. Shipyard on. What'd I do? Why you no work? Don't tell me we're like out of steel plates or something, because that would be silly. Also, my asteroid's invisible again. This world hates me. No, we actually have a decent amount of steel plates, but we're gonna probably need more, so let's kick off like a bunch. Somebody, by the way, said if I went into large blocks and requested like something in here. Oh yeah, that requests a large number at a time. Okay, cool. So that's neat. Why is my shipyard not welding? Let's go in there and see what's up. Platform, shipyard off. You know what? Maybe it doesn't like being connected to some glass down there. Oh, you know, well, no, that shouldn't be a problem. Let's do that and see what happens, right? If we told you to show what's if we went into the projector and show only buildable. Yeah, that's the problem. There's nothing's buildable. Hello. Now something's buildable. Well, the glass is, so that should be cool. Maybe it's just the glass panes. I've actually never built a ship that has glass panes on it and then tried to weld it like this, so I don't know what's up with that. Well, we'll see what happens. You know what I'll do? Also, just to make sure that there's no problems. Projector, let's project it vertically, like 2 blocks up. Projector, show only buildable, yeah. So let's like... Might be that it doesn't like the glass being the foundational point for that thing, but we'll try this. You ready? Cross your fingers. Shipyard on. Now we're talking. Sort of. Oh yeah, it's going. Look at it go. Nice. So things are being built. That's good to know. I would like to get in there and watch it. Let's do platform shipyard off for a moment. I just want to be inside the ship. Which is fine. Oh, he doesn't have a antenna. I'm gonna have to do this from out here. Should have put an antenna on that thing so that I can actually be in the ship and watching it, but that's okay. It's no big deal. Shipyard on. This guy will weld some stuff for a bit. Yeah, I can see it all building there in the distance. Can I access him now? Yeah, I can. So let's see what the projector has to say. 75 out of 193 blocks built. Very cool. You can see some things being made down here. Level 28 thrusters incomplete. Twin welder 2's incomplete. Very neat. Oh, there we go. Twin welder 2 looks like he's done-ish. Connector just got added. 107 blocks complete. So you can see blocks are being added here via the control panel. You can actually see it in game too. Awesome. It is welding in there. I want to go check on our supplies and make sure that we have all the things that we need. If we're out of something, it's a good indication that it's going to be holding us up. Like, we're getting low-ish on computers. Thrusters! I need more thruster components. There's a surprise. Just make a ton of them for now, right? Always need more thruster components. Yeah, I can see that thing flickering in the distance. Nice. Alright, I'll be back in a minute. I want to let it finish. So remember when I said, let's make a bunch of thruster components? Why not? Good reason, why not? I didn't have nearly enough platinum for it. I ran out of platinum, so I had to go mine a little bit. You can see I'm processing platinum, stone, iron, and magnesium. Platinum working its way up. 1.3 out of 40k. Alright, cool. Let's see. Production is... Oh, did we get our thrusters? We got about 93 of them. Looks like the assemblers are still kicking off. So platinum is one of those ores that takes a really long time to refine. I actually turned off all my other refineries because I really wanted to get the most out of the platinum that I could. And the advanced refineries have a better output of platinum per block, right? So let's go ahead and produce a few more thruster components. See how that goes for a little bit. Not terrible. And kick on that shipyard again. Shipyard on. Soon we will have fewer problems. I should go mining for like a huge amount of platinum. I mean, I just did get a bunch, but... Alright, yeah, I can see it going. Back in a few. Alright, I think I've got enough thruster components to kick this thing on now. Shipyard, toggle block on. You're gonna continue building? Yeah, look, there we go. Nice. Kinda wish I could get in there, but that's okay. You know what I can now? Let's do shipyard off for a moment and jump into the cockpit of this guy. Platform, shipyard on. That's cool. So now I can get like a little bit of a closer look. Looks like we're waiting on a couple thruster components here. Yeah, a couple thrusters it looks like. What's my projector have to say? Armor blocks, remaining 1. Nice. There we go. Remember, you want to move around a little bit because there are a couple dead zones. There we go. Now we're talking. What's the projector have to say? 1 armor block remaining. Not quite sure where that is. It's probably not that big a deal, right? I can see that one that's not like welded, but that's not the one that's being projected. Remember, that's not part of the projector, so. All right, let's fly out of this thing and see what we've got. So then I should be able to snag some uranium here. Wow. Whoa. Yeah, definitely overloading my reactors because I've got that one small reactor powering all the thrusters at the moment. Like if you look, my back thrusters are activating, right? But nowhere do I have enough power for that. So what I'll need to do, and I want to do this before I jump in. I should have done this before I blueprinted it, but that's okay. I should go into here to the control panel. We want our hidden reactors, which are these guys. We'll just name them Azimuth Uranium 10 P1. Let's go 15. I don't know how much we're going to be burning through uranium in this thing. And we should probably also use conveyor system off on these guys. Cool. And then we can hide this stuff again. And I'm just going to go get a handful of uranium, drop it in the connector, and then we should be in pretty good shape to break this ship off. Let's do ingots. Let's just say 100. That should be enough. I know I've got 6 in there. And at 15 a pop, we should be cool. So uranium goes in, clicks on, nice. And then I can separate these two ships by just grinding this stuff down. And once I separate them, then these two ships will be separate entities, and we've got ourselves a giant welding ship. There's one thing I haven't done, and that is determine how many of which resource I want to store in this thing. So what I'm going to do between this episode and next is figure that out. Like, how many steel plates do I want to have? So this large cargo container in here is a large cargo container from a large ship, right? So that's pretty awesome. That means that we're going to have the ability to store lots of stuff, which sounds ideal. So we're going to do that. I just have to tell it, like, via the automated inventory sorting mod, like how many things to store. So what I'll do is come back next episode. I'm going to go dock this guy. Wow, look how fast I am. I'm going to turn off my lights for a minute. That is cool. I'm going to go dock him right in here. Whoosh. Wow, that is a fast ship when he's empty. I'm interested to see how fast he is when he's full. That's another thing I didn't test. Like, is this thing, like, impossible to fly when I fill him up with cargo components and stuff? I don't know. We'll find out. But for now, wrapping up point. So Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I'm going to see if I can get auto-docking working on this ship. I'm also going to see if I can get, like, the layout of how many components we want to have and name, you know, the cargo container appropriately. And then when we come back next time, we'll be able to try the thing out. All right, guys. Take it easy.